You are watching the Grace and Andrew Yang show tonight. I am the star, Shilah Mae Grace, and I'm here tonight with a very special guest, Mr. James Smithsonian.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's, by the way, it's 10 at night. Just saying.
Still afternoon in my eyes.
So, you are here tonight to replace a fabled Chicago poet, Fax Machine Douglas, who is out hitchhiking somewhere in Kansas right now, and our dear Andrew Yang, who is out from food poisoning after eating a green potato. But anyway, we are here tonight to discuss somebody named Ronald Wilson Reagan, who happened to be a president of the United States of America. So, first of all, how old was he when he was voted into the White House?
He was right about 70 years old, and for that time, making him the oldest president in American history.
Wow, that is very, very old. Like, dementia age.
He started to develop dementia right around his last 2 years in the White House.
And that didn't disqualify him?
Not at all, because he kept it hidden very, very well. He was always trying to be his funniest, but he did show signs of forgetfulness right around the end.
The end, huh? Well, he is an actor, so I suppose that might have contributed to that. But at that moment, when you knew that this man named Ronald Wilson Reagan had just been voted in as the next president, he won by a landslide. He was on stage taking the oath of office. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel, well, I always, no matter what, even if I don't respect the person, I'll always respect the office of president. So even though I would have much preferred if Jimmy Carter won that second term, I was still happy that we had another president in the White House and that our Constitution kept working.
I see. So, we actually have another special guest that wants to join the call, and it is everybody, Samiamagurlboss.
John F. Kennedy? From Tyler J. Smith? Wow, that's crazy.
Hello, Samiamagurlboss. Thank you for popping into the show.
Yeah, howdy.
Yes. So, before we get into the actual incidents that occurred during the Ronald Wilson Reagan presidency, as I mentioned, Ronald Reagan originally hailed from the great land of Hollywood. Is that right, Mr. Smithsonian?
That is correct. He starred in, I think, over 20 movies. His most popular one was Bedtime for Bonzo.
Oh my god, I love Bedtime for Bonzo.
Is that the one with the chimp?
It's the one with the chimp, and they're trying to put him to bed.
Oh, okay. So, looking back at his career in Hollywood, would you say that he was unsuccessful?
Not really. None of his movies were ever really that popular, but he did get to be president of the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, so he was a president of many other things in addition to this country.
Exactly. He was the governor of California as well in the 60s.
I see. So, do you think that Ronald Reagan could have been in Halloween Kills?
Well, considering he died in 2004, I don't think he would have made it that long.
Well, as a zombie.
I don't think there are any zombies in Halloween Kills. Sam, are there?
I have never seen a Halloween movie in my life, but I appreciate the thought.
disappointing.
I know, I'm sorry. I failed you.
Okay, so now let's talk about what he actually did in his 4 years of service as president. What are some choice words that you have to describe him off the bat?
I fucking
Traitorous
hate that
coward.
Okay. What are some of the worst things that he did during his time as America's president?
The Iran-Contra affair, Reaganomics are the main ones.
Okay, so do elaborate, please.
The Iran-Contra affair was basically Reagan secretly, with his chief general, sold weapons to the Iranians and then gave that money to the Contras, which were a South American group they were supporting, and they fought against another South American group. For why, I don't know. But they sold money to the Iranians, and as you may know, the Iranians were involved in the terrorist attacks in 9/11. So Reagan giving them weapons could have possibly led to 9/11.
Oh, okay. And what are Reaganomics? Because I've never heard of that term before.
Basically, massive tax cuts for the wealthy, but then tiny tax cuts for everybody else.
Okay, this thing called Reaganomics or something like that, right? It's being taught to millions of children around colleges each year in the United States. So, do you think that this is something that they should be teaching the next generations?
They should not, because it simply doesn't work. The idea is that if the wealthiest people have more money, then that money will trickle down, which is why it's also called trickle-down economics, to the lower classes. But it doesn't work, because the wealthiest people will continue to hoard all the money for themselves.
Okay. Samiamagurlboss, what do you think about this perspective?
About trickle-down economics? I think the only trickling down that should happen is my piss into Ronald Reagan's grave.
Ah, I see. Is that a sentiment that you share too, Mister Smithsonian?
Well, sometimes I think I would, but then I need to remember that every president ever should be respected because they became president, except Donald Trump.
Yeah. That's good sentiment.
I see. So, speaking about education, okay, knowing what he did during his presidency, what grade would you give Ronald Reagan?
Considering everything he ever did in his presidency, I would put him at a D+.
Oh, generous.
Because he's not the worst of the worst, but he's not the top best.
And who would the worst of the worst be?
If I had
Millard
to say-
Fillmore.
Not Fillmore. Fillmore was okay?
I hate Millard Fillmore.
Because you're biased.
I'm
against
sorry, that's a president's name? Fillmore?
Millard Fillmore.
Not Rushmore?
Millard Fillmore, the 13th president.
I know that there is a president named Rushmore. I've never heard of any president named Fillmore.
You must be thinking of the mountain.
Yeah, right, and it has presidential faces on there.
Speaking of Rushmore, you should probably know that it's uncompleted.
It's a mountain. How can it be completed? Nature would have done that.
Well, they wanted to include the president's bodies, but they never got around to it because they ran out of money. And all those small little rocks you see are just rubble left over from when it was built. It was never actually cleaned up.
Okay. Does this ring familiar to you, Samiamagurlboss?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because the whole thing was like, they were so out of money throughout all of production. It's a miracle that they ever got it done.
Ah.
I mean, it never should have gotten done because it was It was a sort of a holy site for the people who lived there, but
Would that be Native Americans?
yeah,
Ah,
I don't know what the proper terminology is, and I don't want to get it wrong.
They prefer to be called natives.
You got it.
okay, so Sam, I am a girl boss. Going along those lines, what grade would you give President Ronald Reagan when he, was in service?
Um, I would say a D, not a D plus, just like a D.
Oh, okay. So you're even more generous than Mister Smithsonian.
I don't think that's how that works, but sure.
Oh, okay. And why would it be a D in your book?
Uh, Basically everything Mr. Smithsonian says, plus the fact that he implemented a good chunk of most of the modern abortion laws we have.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, most of America's stance on abortion comes from his presidency.
Wait. What stance would that be?
Let me introduce you to the Mexico City policy.
Okay.
It's something we've implemented in other countries that we give foreign aid to, where basically you can't talk about abortion ever. If you perform one, we cut all the funding we give to you.
Oh, okay.
And I just think that's awful. Because even now, when we have like a good chunk of abortion laws, I know some people would say that we could have more, and I would agree. But the fact that we don't let any other country that we support do that, sort of a terrible thing to do.
So, a lot of people often talk about everybody having a spirit animo that is supposed to represent them. So, in Reagan's case, what would that animal be?
Let's see here. A 13-year-old cat.
Is that like
Bonzo from Bedtime for Bonzo.
so? Would 13 years for a cat is how many cat years?
That's got to be at least like 100.
Oh, okay. So it's a very, very old cat, right?
Yes.
And why did you pick a cat of all things to represent Mr. Reagan?
Just like how Reagan bullshitted his way through the presidency, it was the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh, so cat litter.
Exactly.
I see. And what was your reasoning behind your choice of a spirit animo, Sam, I am a girl boss?
Wait, I picked one? Oh, because he was at Bedtime for Bonzo. So, of course, he must have inhabited a little bit of Bonzo. That's how this works. Trust me.
Bonzo tried to kill him.
Good.
Well, I do have to say, I mean, they are both primates.
That's true. I can't argue with that. That is sound logic.
Right. I mean, I'm not too sure about the whole human being thing, but at least we know that they're both primates, so let's leave it at that. Now, if you had one more chance to speak to Mr. Reagan today, because we do know that he is 6 feet underground, as they would put it, what would you say to him?
I think it's more than 6 feet, but
Okay.
if I had to say anything to Ronald Reagan, I'd ask him, why? Why didn't you let Jimmy Carter get a second term? I feel like he would have done way better than you did.
Okay. Any choice words, Sam, I am a girl boss?
Nothing I can say on live television.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the internet, but I understand. I understand. So, let's just say that if Reagan could run again, okay, like that would require him to be alive, of course, but we're speaking hypothetically. So, let's say that he was up for re-election, would he get your vote?
God,
Not
no.
in the slightest.
You put a gun to my head, I'm not voting for Reagan.
Even if he was up against, say, our current resident president.
Joe Biden?
Hmm?
I
That is
don't
a
know.
tough choice.
I mean, Joe Biden's kind of a wishy-washy midweight, but, like, I agree with enough of his policies that I'd vote for him over Reagan.
That is true. I would too.
I see. What about Miss Harris?
Kamala Harris, not.
I don't think you're
She's-
allowed to have two Republicans on the ballot.
Oh, she's a Republican?
Kamala Harris is not a Republican, Sam. She's a Democrat.
She's got a lot of Republican views.
Yeah, but she is a Democrat.
I don't know if I'd say that.
She is on the Democratic ticket, so she would be a Democratic nominee.
So if I had to have her under Democratic nominee, then I would say,
I'd pick Reagan, honestly.
yeah, me too.
I see. So, just overall, Mr. Smithsonian, how many presidents have there been in the history of the United States of America?
45 unique people have been president.
I thought it was 46.
Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th president because he served 2 non-consecutive terms.
Oh, okay. That's why you said unique, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of all of these presidents, who's the worst in your opinion?
Probably James Buchanan.
Okay. Samiamagurlboss is Buchanan fellow. One of the worst in your list.
I mean, he's not the worst. I'd probably have to say that was Grant. Or whoever was. Grant was after Lincoln, right?
No, Andrew Johnson was after Lincoln.
Oh, Johnson. Whoever fucked up post-Lincoln.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah. That guy.
Oh, Johnson, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is he also among the worst, Mr. Smithsonian, in your book?
Yes, he is. I'd say he's in the top 5 worst presidents.
So, speaking about top 5, when we go scraping at the bottom of the barrel, would Ronald Reagan be either of your top 5 worst presidents?
No. He's in the top maybe 13 worst presidents.
It's oddly specific there, but okay.
I would certainly have to say he's top 10. I wouldn't say he's the worst.
I see. I guess, do you think that in memory of Ronald Wilson Reagan and what he contributed during his presidency, do you believe that his spirit lives on in today's world, or no?
He lives on in the spirit of Republicans who try to do what he did but fail miserably.
Yeah, Tyler just about said it.
I see. Well, anyway, we are running out of time, so I want to thank you both, our very special guests, for such a lovely discussion on our fallen angel, Reagan. Until next time, this is the Grace and Andrew Yang show that you are watching, and I am Shilah Mae Grace, star of the show.
Wow. Ronald Reagan.
Hate that guy.
Hate that guy.